What am I missing? This is something that Alex O'Connor is asking Sam Harris on objective morality. So Sam Harris versus Alex O'Connor in a sophisticated morality discussion. So I can't wait to hear what they have to say. Look, I'm not a philosopher and ethicist and all this kind of stuff, but I know that they both know a thing or two about a thing or two. And let's learn from them and hear about this subjective versus objective morality kind of issue.
Maybe you can tell me what I'm missing from my picture then, because like I say, I'm broadly speaking an ethical emotivist. But
say more about the consequences of that. I mean, what does that mean?
I'm not sort of, I don't know. I always like to be a little bit agnostic about these things, you know, open to change and all that. But I'm broadly attracted to this view that when we make ethical statements or pronouncements, we're essentially just expressing emotions at each other. And so when I say that murder is wrong, I'm sort of expressing some kind of distaste, or I'm expressing something akin to saying, don't do that, which is just like a command. It doesn't have any truth value. It's not even subjectively true or false. It's just like a command or an expression. And so if that's the case, then this sort of ethical talk is completely different to the picture that you're painting. And so
no, not really. I can translate some of that into the picture I'm painting. Because again, it sounds like to say that it's just a statement about the way we feel or might feel.
Well, it's not. To be clear, it's not a statement about how we feel. It is the expression of the feeling. So the mistake that's often made with the emotivism is when I say murder is wrong, I'm not saying something like I don't like murder or I feel bad towards murder, because that can be true and false. As we were discussing earlier, it can be true that I don't like murder. It's the expression of the dislike to the murder. So A.R. famously has it as just going, boo murder. You know, that's not something that...
So it's his emotional reaction to the thing, whether it be murder or whatever.
Has any kind of truth value. And...
Well, boo doesn't, but you're granting that it is possible to not like murder, and that could be an objective state of a subjective system.
Yeah, that's no problem at all.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
And so I find myself in a world where I put my hand on a hot stove, and when I do, I go, I don't like that. And it's objectively true that I don't like that. Cool. And so I look around the world, and there are certain experiences that are going to make me suffer and some that are not. And so I pick the ones that don't make me suffer because I prefer them. And like, that's it, man. That's the story.
Well,
I mean, so you don't need more than that is the point, I guess, Alex is getting at here. Let's see.
Let's build from there. So that's you as the emotivist, picking and choosing in the space of possible experience. Would you grant that there are experiences you haven't had and you don't know what you're missing?
Yes, in terms of what I would, if experiencing those, you know, subjectively enjoy. Sure.
Right. So, and it might be, there are circumstances where, or there are experiences that are available to people and, you know, other conscious minds, but they're not available to you given how you are, right? So you might not have the talent required to get there, or the genes required to get you there. Or
absolutely, yeah, no problem with that.
Okay, so the landscape of possible experience extends what you currently know or even can know, right? And that's true of every person like you. And then now we're saying boo at each other in that context.
And this landscape we're talking about is a landscape of experiences, either possible or actual, which if I were to experience them, I would go, yay. I'd go, yeah, sure, great.
But the yay, the thumbs up and thumbs down can be increasingly strident, right? I mean, like there are experiences that are so good.
Absolutely.
That you'll have the experience of everything that's happened up to me, up to this moment in my life, it was comparatively worthless compared to this experience that I'm now having.
Sure.
Right? And obviously the opposite is the case. So what do you make of the fact that these experiences exist, right? And they're radically different, and that there are right and wrong answers with respect to how to get from one to the other. It's not, you don't randomly get just hurled toward one or the other.
Sure.
You know, there are at every level that we can understand ourselves scientifically, from the genome on up, so genetics and neuroscience and psychology and sociology, if that were actually a science, economic systems, everything, there's every contribution to a possible change in the character of our experience can be more or less well understood.
Absolutely.
Rationally.
Yeah, no problem with that either.
Okay, so this is interesting. I like how Sam's calm. If there's one thing I do like about Sam is he's calm. He thinks and he's careful. And I'm sure that Alex appreciates this as well. But the fact that you can build off of those components, which makes it a very sophisticated endeavor to try and build this objective morality that he is trying to do, or in some way it's objective. And it's not a simplified objective, but it sounds like he's trying to break down these components that can be observed and testable and potentially categorized for individuals that allow each of them to come to these subjective differences, but the differences are based on these other components that build up to that person's experience. I am, hopefully, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, look, I'm not a genius here, but it sounds like Sam's approaching it this way. If I'm missing something, help me out. I really, really don't. This stuff is above my pay grade to really get.
So all those converging lines of fact-based discussion can be brought to bear on this navigation problem.
Yeah.
Right.
So because I've got this subjective preference to reach this peak,
Mm-hmm.
I can use all of the scientific resources available to me to go and reach that peak.
Okay. Now, what if we just add one other element to this, which is you've got your preference weights such as they are now. You got the factory settings, but you didn't pick your parents, you didn't pick your genes, you didn't pick the factory, you didn't pick your culture and the world into which you were born, and you've been tuned up by forces beyond your control.
Yep.
Now we have something like a completed science of the mind, and you can actually change your preferences.
Okay.
Right. And there's this additional question of whether you should do that, whether that would be a good thing to do, but good as measured by what?
Well, in my universe, we don't have terms like good yet.
Okay.
That hasn't entered into the
so
picture yet.
you'll just say boo differently if we change those weights, right?
So let's say like somebody offers me the opportunity to take a pill,
Mhm.
and let's say that in this world I don't really like music that much,
Right.
so I don't really care for it, whatever. And I can take a pill that's suddenly going to turn me into this great music lover, where I'm going to experience this brand new joy. And although right now my preference isn't to enjoy music, so it doesn't seem to matter to me, I can change my preferences so that now this new pleasure opens up to me and I can experience it. What would I do? I'd look at that pill and I'd go, yeah, sounds great, awesome. And I'd take the pill just because I would prefer to have that preference. It's a second order preference, right?
Alex likes music. Don't let him fool you.
But there's still no space here into which has entered a concept of like moral prescription, of goodness, of ought. I'm still just in this world where there are experiences I prefer, and I use my scientific analysis of the world to achieve those. And when something comes along that allows me to really radically improve that feeling of subjective preference, hell yeah, use all.
This sounds like drug addiction is possible here. I mean, I went down the heroin route and I've done the opiates. It was pills for the longest and then got stuck on addicted to heroin. No shame in my game. I'm a recovering addict. I'm 10 years, October the 25th of this year, will be 10 years off of heroin. But it sounds like, that could easily factor into this discussion.
The science you can get to give me those pills.
Right.
But still no moral judgments here, right?
Well, there are potentially, but they might not be necessary. I mean, as long as you're going to concede that you might not know what you're missing, if you might not know how good life could be if you only made certain changes to yourself or to your thinking or to your culture, right? So we have a bunch of people like you who just don't want to talk about shoulds and oughts, right? And they never do. They just occasionally they say boo, but they don't think anything really hangs on it. And then if it could be an empirical fact about you and or people like you, that you're cognitively and emotionally and culturally and civilizationally closed to certain outcomes, which are available the moment you begin to play a little bit differently.
I'm not sure why those would be correlated, because this idea that, there are experiences that are available to me that I don't even know what I'm missing, that doesn't require me to believe in any concept of morality. Because if you said to me,
I'm still just on the so again, I'm bracketing morality, the judgmental valence of that term for the purpose of this part of the conversation. I'm just saying that there's descriptively, we're in kind of in the descriptive values, still value laden landscape of this feels much, much better than this over here, which I never want to taste or touch again. Right.
Crucially, just for clarity, I would say in my view here, this is subjective value. These are subjectively valued.
These are objective facts about conscious systems.
Objective facts about how to best achieve what one subjectively values.
Yeah, but that turn doesn't do anything deflationary for me. It's just there are certain things that only exist as appearances in consciousness, right? That is their ontological status, right? There's no, even if we could later correlate them with other states of the physics of things, it's just, you can't conceptually reduce them. You can't, there's no, there is as conscious experiences, right? And I would say consciousness itself is one of those things. It's just that the only evidence for consciousness in this universe is as consciousness, right? It's like there's no evidence in a brain that consciousness is a thing, right?
Okay. So is there something from this picture that we've been painting so far, where I've started in a world, I don't know why I'm imagining like I'm on some desert island, like we're starting from scratch, like the opening Minecraft game or something. I'm just here in this world, and there are things I prefer and things that I don't, and I start to learn scientifically through observation which things are going to get me what I want and which things aren't. So I start acting in accordance. Then we all get together, and because it's going to be good for me if I work with this person, we work together and we start developing maybe this pill, and then somebody comes over on a boat and says, hey, there's this great thing that you don't even know that you're missing, give it a go. And I'm so open-minded that I'm like, yeah, sounds awesome. And the pleasures are just increasing and increasing all the time. And again, like the end, end scene, story's over. That's the picture for me.
Right.
Because if it is the case that there are in fact moral values in the world, like there is this thing called objective moral truth. The picture I've just painted, as far as I can see, doesn't contain it. So
I
what's
think it
wrong
does.
about that picture? Where's it gone wrong?
No, the more we fill in the blank spots in that picture, the more I think we get everything we could conceivably want by any talk about right and wrong, good and evil. So I mean, just give yourself a desert island and maybe add another person. So you're Adam and Eve, right? And you're building the world anew, and then the question is again, there's just two of you. And you have a navigation problem even there, right? And you would even have a navigation problem alone. But let's make it a little more complex. So there's two of you, and now the question is, how can you live so as to maximize everything that would be rewarding, good, yum yum? I want more of that.
Yeah, well, that is what they would in fact be doing, but there would be no.
Okay, but again, the crucial thing to admit is that there are right and wrong answers, that there are very real and very different possibilities in the space of all possible experience that can be actualized. There's some they couldn't possibly get to in a normal human lifespan because two people is just not enough to get you those things, right? But there's a range of right and more wrong answers open to them as to how to maximize what I'm calling their well-being, right? And the first answer is, they could both pick up large rocks and start smashing each other in the face, right? Now that would be a bad answer to this. It's a possible answer. It will give them some immediate feedback as to what life is like when you do that.
Be the wrong way to get there.
Wrong way. And it just closes the door to other kinds of collaboration that we know are going to be objectively better. If better means navigating away from the worst possible misery for everyone and towards something, or in your emotivist terms, fewer booze and more yums, the character of experience will change, and will change by virtue of whatever laws of nature underwrite the character of conscious experience, right? And again, we can understand those laws at every level that we attempt to understand anything, from genetics on up.
So you kind of have to wonder, like, built off of that, fascinating discussion, and I know there's a longer form of that discussion by Alex, so be sure to subscribe to his channel as well. Really love his thinking and the deep nature of these conversations. But you kind of wonder if we took all the building blocks of those experiences from the human and we were able to calculate and factor in everything from psychology to this to that, your genetic environment, whatever. Is there a way to get closer to objective ethics, objective morality, using Sam's kind of logic here? Or is it all yeses, yums, yummy, and no boo kind of things that Alex is coming at? I don't know. I'd love to dive deep into this and kind of wrap my head around these deeper philosophical conversations about ethics and morality. But what did you particularly take away from that kind of conversation? I don't know. Sounds like, it was a good little back and forth, but again, there needs to be a much deeper conversation about where Sam's coming from and how he would be able to anchor those things into an objective position, whereas Alex seems to be coming from a much more subjective one. At the root of it, it sounds like some facts are there. It's just how do we get from the facts and objective reality of what is the case of things happening to that subjective experience actually being determined based on those facts. So anyway, I think I'm wrapping my mind around this. Tell me if I'm lost in the sauce here. Look, I hope you'll subscribe. Check that bell so you're notified. Comment down below. Like the video so YouTube algorithm notices us. Until next time, see you then.